This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Today on CityCast Boise, it's a record-breaking hot day, and we could see temperatures as high as 111 degrees. Is Boise actually going to be hotter than Phoenix? National Weather Service meteorologist Jay Breidenbach is here to tell us when this heat wave will end and how you can keep cool and safe. It's Wednesday, July 10th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. So I wanted to get right to the point. How hot is it going to get today?
Well, we are potentially in record-breaking category or territory today. We're looking for a high of 109.
Wow.
That's our official forecast for Boise, but some parts of the Treasure Valley in and around Boise could see 110. And there's actually about a 25% chance that we go over 110, maybe even approach our all-time record of 111 degrees here in Boise later today.
Is that the all-time high for ever, or like specifically for like July 10th?
For July 10th, the record is 105, so an excellent chance that we break the record for July 10th. We're forecasting 109. The all-time record ever set in Boise is 111 degrees. That was set way back in 1961, and we have a shot at getting that high. I don't think we're going to quite get that high, but I can't rule it out. Put the odds at right about 25% chance of at least tying that.
Okay, so I've always been curious when you say like a 25% chance. What does that mean, or what factors go into that calculation?
Well, this is really interesting, particularly with this temperature record. We run lots of different models, and some models we run hundreds of times every day, and they have slightly different initial conditions in those models, and they all say it's going to be hot, right? We're going to be certainly over 100, likely over 105. The median value is around 109, so that's what we're going with our official forecast. But about 25% of those models are showing even hotter conditions, as high as 111 degrees. So that's probably not the best forecast. You want to kind of stick kind of in the middle of all of those forecasts. So we're going to forecast 109 today, but I wouldn't be completely surprised if we are a little hotter.
Wow. So definitely there's a good chance we'll break the record for today for heat, but potentially maybe could break the all-time record.
It's possible, yes, and we've got several days where we're going to be close to these records. Certainly, the record for the day, and that's what makes this heat wave so extraordinary. Is the duration. We're likely to be over 100 degrees for more than a week for the high temperature. So that's part of what makes it so extraordinary, not just the peak heat, which we'll likely see today. Today's likely the hottest day, but we've got more than a week of this, and that's what really starts to make a heat wave impactful. It certainly affects vulnerable populations, young children, the elderly. Very impactful when it lasts so long.
So you said this will probably last about a week or more than a week. About how long can we expect that we're going to be trying to manage these temperatures?
Well, but for the foreseeable future, it may be a little bit less hot, down closer to 100, or 101 early next week. But even our long-range forecasts now, as we're looking at some of those long-range model projections, show the heat building back again towards the middle of next week. So I don't know if you can call 100 or 101 relief. That's still pretty hot weather, but it looks
Yeah.
like it may even build back, as hot as we are expecting today. We might see that again late next week.
So this could be multiple weeks of really, really extremely hot weather.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And the weather pattern that's causing this is a big ridge of high pressure in the upper atmosphere, often called a heat dome, and it is just not moving. It stays right centered over the western United States. It's not just Boise that's hot. All of Idaho is hot. All of the western United States is experiencing this same heat wave, and it's just not moving much. It weakens a little bit kind of later in the weekend. You see that in our forecast, but those long-range projections show it re-strengthening again. So no end in sight.
Wow. That is quite the weather news for the foreseeable future in July. I was going to ask, but maybe there's not a great answer. If people in the Treasure Valley were trying to, maybe escape this heat, some people like to go to McCall or, Tamarack or, a Redfish Lake somewhere up there. Is that far enough away to get away from this 100-degree plus weather, or are people going to have to go to like Moscow?
Well, it's going to be a little cooler in the mountains, but we're still looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 90s in places like McCall. Stanley could hit 90 degrees, so not very cool there in the afternoon. I suppose if you jumped in Redfish Lake, you would certainly cool off. That would be some good advice, I think. I like that, Lindsay.
Always looking to escape the heat. And you mentioned this earlier. I definitely want to make sure we really emphasize how dangerous this heat can be for people. I don't think we always think about that or talk about that. But as a nurse, I do always worry about vulnerable people like babies, small children, the elderly, even people's pets. So what do people need to keep in mind to stay safe for this prolonged heat wave?
Lindsay, I'm glad you brought this up, and that's one of our messages in the Weather Service is safety. And you look at all of the types of different weather that we have. Heat is one of the number one hazards. It increases mortality rate, and we saw that in the 2021 heat wave in the Pacific Northwest and up in Canada, where, gosh, we lost over 250 people to heat-related illnesses in that heat wave. And so you can look on our webpage at the Weather Service, lots of tips for staying safe. Cars can get really hot, so check the back seat. Make sure that no one's left inside. Even a pet, you don't want to leave them inside a car, and it can hit 130 degrees inside your car. Access to air conditioning is important. Most of us have access to air conditioning, but we think a lot about the vulnerable population, and people may not. Everybody doesn't have air conditioning, so seeking one of the cooling shelters that are being set up across the city in response to this heat wave. That is something that people can do to stay safe. Avoiding strenuous activity outdoors in the afternoon, staying hydrated, all of these things are helpful.
Yeah, and we're going to have a link in the show notes that has a link to your guys' tips, and then also a link to free places around the city to access AC, the cooling shelters, libraries, churches. There's several places being set up so that everyone can even temporarily cool off before they have to go back outside or back to their home where they might not have AC.
Want to know one of my favorite sounds? Here it is. That's the sound I hear when I'm learning Spanish with Babbel. And if you want to learn a new language this year, I guarantee it'll be one of your favorite sounds too. I'm David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, and I've been doing Babbel for a few weeks, and it's been so much fun. This week, I've been learning lots of food vocabulary and how to order in a restaurant. This is one of the things I love about Babbel, is that it's about learning the language so that you can use it. As Babbel says, it's designed by real people for real conversation. So it's all based on real life situations. And these restaurant lessons are awesome. When I went to Mexico City last year with my girlfriend, I was mute. I was a mute. But next time, I'm going to be ordering the sopes and las salsas picantes. Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold, plus all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited-time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Jay, we're used to 100-degree weather in Boise. That happens every year, but it doesn't feel like it usually happens this early. I always feel like it happens later in July or even in August. Is this an unusual occurrence this early in the month?
Well, I would say that in recent years, we've had our first 100-degree day, sometime in early July. The climatological hottest time of the year in Boise is usually from about July 20th through the first week of August. So that's normally, when we're going to see 1 or 2 days where it goes up above 100. So maybe a little bit early on our first 100. What's unusual is that, we're going to have this long stretch of 100-degree days. The record number of days that we've had in a row is 9 in a row, and pretty good chance that we're going to have more than 9 in a row with this heat wave. And so when you look at that, that's a little early for that to happen.
Yeah, that is. And that seems like so long. So what are maybe some things that could happen when we have this prolonged high heat that we might not be used to in this area?
This is almost like Phoenix weather.
Yeah.
So actually the average high in July in Phoenix is 106. So their forecast of 109 today. We're hotter than Phoenix usually is in July. So that's, extraordinary. One thing that is going to happen, it's also very dry, at least initially, with this heat wave. And so, we've seen the grass and the rangeland, now the forest starting to dry out. That's just going to accelerate that process. So, when we get through this heat wave, if we get a little bit of lightning activity, that could make the rangeland very susceptible to wildfire earlier in the season than you might normally expect. So that might be a little bit unusual so early. I mean, we're used to wildfires around the area as well.
But usually quite a bit later, into August, where it sounds like we're going to be pretty susceptible to that this week and next week.
Yeah, and we're already seeing smoke from our neighboring states in California, Oregon, and Washington moving into the area. And so that is not good for our air quality. So you combine poor air quality with this extreme heat. It's kind of a double whammy.
There's been some hot summers recently, 2021, 2022. How is this summer already shaping up compared to those years?
Well, I'd say that we're on par to match 2021 pretty early, maybe even exceed it. That was one of the years where we had 9 days in a row above 100, so that record could fall. We could even exceed that. And you go back 30 years ago, Boise averaged about 6 days where it was above 100 degrees. In recent summers, we've been, around 20 days above 100. So we're going to have a really good start on that record as well, tallying up the total number of days exceeding 100 in a single summer.
Wow. And you've been a meteorologist in Boise for years. And in this era of climate change and increasing temperatures, are you thinking about this heat wave differently?
I would say it's tough to blame a single heat wave on climate change, but when you kind of link multiple years in a row where you're
Yeah.
having, 15, 20 days above 100, and the climate in Boise starts to look like, Phoenix or something, it's like, well, that's a real big change.
Yeah.
But I don't really think of it any differently. We've had hot weather. Our all-time record of 111 was set, way back in 1961.
Yeah.
So, we've had single hot days, where the weather pattern fits kind of like we're seeing now. But what's unusual is that, they seem to last a long time, these heat waves now, and come more frequently. And so that's what's different. But heat wave is a heat wave, and
Yeah.
they've happened in the past. They'll happen in the future, but it's just kind of the amplitude that we're seeing with this heat wave and the increasing frequency.
Is that something we should expect moving forward in the summer? Is that we're potentially going to have these longer heat waves, these hotter heat waves?
That is the trend that we've seen, and that's the expected trend moving into the future as well.
Okay. And you mentioned that kind of our peak heat season is about the 20th of July to first week of August. So can we anticipate it might even get hotter?
It's possible. Our models don't quite go out that far. Usually we're looking maybe 10 days into the future, and it looks hot 10 days and probably be beyond that. So, we're not quite seeing to the 20th of July yet, but it's hot now. It's coming into that hottest time of the year. It wouldn't surprise me if we have another heat wave late July.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jay. Thank you for the information. We are going to keep an eye on your trends and your models and what you're posting. Stay cool and stay hydrated.
Thanks, Lindsay. Pleasure talking to you. Stay cool as well.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend about us? We'll be back tomorrow morning with everything you need to know about ice-cold dirty sodas. You won't want to miss it.